Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. I was going to film a reading vlog this week, but my body said absolutely not, we are not going to do this. I've been truly humbled by my chronic illness in the last week or so. For ages I've been like working out and like doing exercise and going for long walks, and I'm just like, am I cured? But no, I got utterly humbled and I'm in so much pain today, so we're just going to do a very low-key video, which is the end of year book tag, which I've done for the past 2 years I think, so let's keep up with the tradition and hopefully I'll have the energy to film a reading vlog for like next week, but yeah, it's just not happening at the moment. So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? And the only book I'm currently in the middle of is The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, which is a huge tome of a book. I spoke about this in my witchy reading vlog, which I'll link down below. This is about the lives of the Mayfair witches in New Orleans. It's about a family of witches who are haunted by this mysterious presence and just like haunted by their own desires and powers, and it's wild. It's wild. I'm enjoying it. The writing's really good. I like the history of the witches, so it traces like this family right back to the 17th century I think, and it's just so interesting to read about the lives of all these different people. But yeah, the bits that are wild are really wild. There's a lot of incest, which is I mean, it's questionable because it's incest, but like, why do we have such graphic scenes of this incest? It's just a bit, it's a bit much, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's huge. It's, I think it was something like 50 hours on audio and I've listened to 25 hours, so I've still got quite a way to go, and my hold expires in 8 days, so I'm not going to finish it anytime soon, but I'm hoping I will actually get to it before the end of the year. If not, then it'll just be carried on to next year. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? And yes, I am still really into my autumn reading. I hate this idea that as soon as Halloween's over, autumn's over, because it just isn't. Like, autumn's not over until mid-December, but until at least the 1st of December, like, we're still in autumn mode, right? Like, it's way too early for Christmas, and autumn's my favourite season, so I just don't like the idea that we only get September and October and then we have to move on to winter, which lasts for like 6 months. Like, no. So I've done a whole reading vlog of my witchy reads. Like I said, I'll leave that down below. The reading vlog that I really wanted to do this week was reading queer horror books. I'm going to have quite a few, and the ones I was thinking of doing were Fragile Animals by Genevieve, which is a vampire book, I think. I pre-ordered that book and it came out in May and I still haven't read it, so I definitely want to read it in November. I'd like to read Jawbone, which is like a queer horror story by an author from Ecuador, I think. A History of Fear by Luke Dumas, I don't know how to say it, but that's like a horror story thriller type thing set in Edinburgh. So yeah, all those three sound really interesting, and I'm hoping to make a vlog reading all of those. I've just bought Lucy Jane Wood's Rewitched on my Kindle, so I'd like to read that. I've got In These Hallowed Halls that my partner bought for me last Christmas and I haven't read yet, which is like an anthology of dark academia stories. If We Were Villains by m.l.rio. I read The Secret History last year, like around this time last year, so I think I'd quite like to read that one. October, which I know we're past October now, but like it's still like that kind of year, so it seems like it'll still be appropriate for reading in November. Yeah, there are lots of autumnal books, and I'm so not ready to stop the autumn/spooky season reading. The next question is there a new release that you're still waiting for? And I'm so excited for Eliza Clark's new book. It's a collection of short stories called She's Always Hungry, and as I'm filming, that's out tomorrow, so that's exciting. I'm hoping to go into one of the independent bookshops and get like the sort of special edition. I don't normally buy books sort of when they come out, but I really like Eliza Clark's writing. I've read her other 2 books, and a sample of one of the stories from She's Always Hungry was in like a Granta magazine recently, and I really liked it, so yeah, I think I'll treat myself to that. The next question is, what are 3 books that you want to read before the end of the year? I actually have more than 3 because a lot of my reading is done through my local library. I don't really tend to go into the library and get physical books as such, but I read a lot on BorrowBox, which is what my library uses, and I have a lot that I've taken out recently. I'll go through them because we've got October by Katya, which I've mentioned already, The Examiner by Janice Hallett, Moominland Midwinter by Tove Jansson, that'll be more of a wintry read. Same with Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. That one, again, I think I'd like to read in winter. Have Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, which needs to go back in 38 days, so I need to get on that. I got the audiobook of that one. And The City Beyond the Sea by Pari, Thomson, which is the sequel to Greenwild, which I read earlier this year and I liked, but I wasn't completely in love with it. But I think I want to give the second book a try. I haven't bought that one like for that reason, because I bought the paperback of Greenwild and wasn't 100% sold on it. But Pari Thomson writes books that are like a book about plants, love it, and a book about the sea, also something that I love, so I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I've got it on audio this time as well, so yeah, we'll see how that one goes. That one's due back in 25 days, so I really need to get onto that one. Then we have, is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favourite read of the year? And I hope that I have a favourite read coming up. I've read some really good books this year. I'm planning on reading Small Things Like These by Keegan around Christmas time, because I think it's set sort of around then, and there's the new film coming out. I think it's already out and I'd like to watch that. But I read So Late in the Day earlier this year by Keegan and I loved it so much. I think that's the book that I've rated highest, because I track everything using Corpile, and that's the one that's come out highest so far this year. Really loved that book, and I was so shocked by how much I enjoyed it. So I'm hoping the same will be true of Small Things Like These. I think from what I've seen, the ratings of that are a lot higher than So Late in the Day, so yeah, I'm hoping that I'll really enjoy that one, and I'm hoping I'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed So Late in the Day, because that was just such a good book. And the final question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2025? And yes and no. I have some like ideas for like vlogs that I might want to film in January. When it comes to planning my content, I have loads of ideas. I'm never short of vlogs I could film, but it's just finding the time to film them that's so difficult. So I've just been like making a list of like some vlogs that I might like to film. I'm a big fan of seasonal reading as well, so I like to plan out sort of like a rough idea of like TBRs, like not necessarily strict books I want to read, but it's like, this is the kind of book that I'll be feeling in that particular season. And I think January for me, and like the start of the year, is normally when I tend to go for like classics. I tend to like reading sort of the start of the year and like in the depths of winter. I like to read non-fiction in January. I always seem to read loads of non-fiction in January. I think it's because I like to start my reading year off with like high rated books, and I think non-fiction's a really good way of doing that, because I tend to just read non-fiction that I'm like interested in. So I think the potential of having a 5-star read is a lot higher for me, at least, because I'm quite choosy with my non-fiction, just because it feels like more of a commitment. It's more brain power, whereas I would pick up a fiction book and just be like, yeah, it's fine, I'm quite enjoying it. I wouldn't do the same with a non-fiction. Like if I'm not enjoying a non-fiction, I'll just like DNF it. I don't really know what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, I like to read non-fiction. I also like to read fantasy as well. I think just because January is quite a miserable month, and I just want to like escape a little bit from sort of how dark and dreary it can be here in the Northern Hemisphere. So yeah, I think classics, non-fiction and fantasy is what I tend to lean towards in January. So I've just been making a little list of like books I might want to try then. But yeah, nothing concrete. I'm going to try and be quite relaxed about my reading this year. The last few years I've just been like, I'm going to reduce my TBR and I'm going to read this many books, and I'm not going to buy any new books, and not going to add anything to my script TBR, and it's just not going to happen. I'm very much like a mood reader, and I don't like to be sort of confined to strict TBRs. I know that if I only have access to books I own, I'll just feel resentful and just not want to read any of them, and then just not enjoy the reading experience. So I'm going to try and not be restrictive with my reading, and just read what I fancy, and just accept that I have a huge out of control TBR, and that's fine. I'm not meant to read all the books on it. It's just, I like to have a huge pile of options and opportunities. So yeah, those are my sort of rough plans. It may change, and there's still quite a while until 2025, so we'll see. So that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. It was very low-key and a chatty video with not much depth, which I tend to not enjoy filming those videos as much, but I do like filming the end of year book tag because we're getting towards that time of year where I start to feel a little bit down. I'm the kind of person, like, I love autumn and I love Christmas, but it makes me feel so down, and I don't know if it's just like that pressure to be like out having fun and socialising, or if it's just like quite overwhelming. I don't really know what it is, but December's the sort of time of year where I start to feel a little bit down, so it's nice to have this to kind of like pick me up and get excited about reading and like all the books I have waiting for me over the next couple of months. I'm going to cut this video now because I'm rambling about nothing. So thank you very much for watching. If you got this far, leave some autumn leaves in the comments, because we are still in autumn and I refuse to accept that it's Christmas until it's the 1st of December. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye.